Welcome to Factimized, the podcast where we dive deep into fascinating historical stories that don't always make it into the history books. I'm Jack, and today we're setting sail on a thrilling adventure exploring forgotten female pirates who ruled the high seas.
And I'm Emma. When most people think of pirates, they picture bearded men like Blackbeard or the fictional Jack Sparrow. But history is filled with remarkable women who commanded ships, led pirate fleets, and struck fear into the hearts of sailors across the globe.
Absolutely. These women defied societal expectations, disguised themselves as men, commanded vast fleets, and in some cases were even more successful than their male counterparts. Let's start with perhaps the most famous female pirate duo, Anne Bonny and Mary Read.
Anne Bonny was born in Ireland around 1797 as the illegitimate daughter of a lawyer. She moved to the Caribbean and eventually married pirate calico Jack Rackham. What's fascinating is that Anne didn't just tag along, she became an active and fierce pirate herself.
And then there's Mary Read, who had been living as a man long before she became a pirate. Born in England around 1805, Mary disguised herself as a boy to join the British Army. After her soldier husband died, she found herself on a ship that was captured by pirates and decided to join them.
The fascinating part is that Anne and Mary met when they were both serving on Calico Jack's ship. Initially, Anne didn't know Mary was a woman and was attracted to her, thinking she was a handsome young man. When Mary revealed her true identity, they became close friends and fearsome fighters.
Witnesses at their trial testified that these two women were more fearless than any of the male crew members. When their ship was attacked in 2020, the men hid below deck while Anne and Mary stayed topside and fought fiercely.
Speaking of fearsome female pirates, we absolutely must talk about Qing Shi, arguably the most successful pirate in history, male or female.
Qing Shi's story is incredible. Born in Canton, China around 1775, she began as a sex worker before marrying the powerful pirate Zhang Yi. When he died in 1807, instead of stepping aside, Qing Shi took control of his entire operation.
And what an operation it was! At the height of her power, Qing Shi commanded between 40,000 to 70,000 pirates and roughly 1,800 ships. That's more than Blackbeard, Calico Jack, and many other famous male pirates combined. She established a strict code of conduct among her pirates, including rules protecting female captives from assault.
She was so powerful that the Chinese government, the Portuguese Empire, and the British forces all tried and failed to defeat her. Eventually, in 1810, she negotiated her own surrender terms with the Chinese government that allowed her to keep her wealth and live peacefully until her death at age 69.
Now, let's sail across to Ireland, where Grace O'Malley, also known as Granuaile, ruled the seas in the 16th century. Born around 1530, Grace inherited her father's shipping and trading business and became known as the Pirate Queen of Ireland.
Grace's story includes a legendary meeting with Queen Elizabeth I in 1593. Despite being political enemies, these two powerful women met face to face, communicating in Latin since Grace spoke no English and Elizabeth spoke no Irish. Grace successfully negotiated for the release of her captured family members.
Grace wasn't just a negotiator. She was a fierce warrior who defended her lands against English encroachment and rival clans. There are stories of her giving birth on her ship during a trading expedition and within a day fighting off Turkish pirates who attacked her vessel.
That's incredible. But if we're talking about revenge-driven pirates, we can't forget about Jeanne de Clisson, the Lioness of Brittany.
Her story begins with tragedy in 1343, when her husband was executed for treason by the French king, Philip VI.
Jeanne was convinced her husband was innocent and vowed revenge. She sold her lands, bought 3 warships, which she painted black with red sails, and created what became known as the Black Fleet. For the next 15 years, she hunted French ships in the English Channel.
The most chilling part of Jeanne's story is that whenever she captured a French noble's ship, she would execute almost the entire crew, but always leave a few survivors to carry her message of revenge back to the King of France. Her story shows how piracy sometimes arose from deeply personal motivations.
What's fascinating about these women is how they navigated a world that was incredibly hostile to female power. Many, like Anne Bonny and Mary Read, had to disguise themselves as men to gain entry into pirate crews. Others, like Ching Shi and Grace O'Malley, leveraged political connections and their own cunning to build power.
Exactly. And it's important to note that most of these women didn't choose piracy as some romantic adventure. It was often a matter of survival, revenge, or one of the few paths to independence and power available to women at the time.
Well said. These women were daring, strategic, and just as formidable as their male counterparts, if not more so. They've inspired characters in fiction, from books to films, but the truth of their actual lives is often more fascinating than fiction.
Thank you for joining us on this voyage through the lives of these remarkable female pirates. We hope you've enjoyed learning about these forgotten women who ruled the high seas with intelligence, courage, and determination.
And that wraps up today's episode of Factimized. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a comment, and join us next time when we'll be exploring another fascinating chapter of forgotten history. Until then, keep exploring the past.